Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm in the Black Forest. Such a nice day. I decided to make a video outside and we will talk about fundamentals and basics of database. I am planning to have some SQL tutorials, like not a tutorial, but like some short um, slides and some syntax just to keep myself engaged in the databases and SQL. And we will also talk about some diagrams like ER and some theoretical parts. So let's start with the fundamentals. How database evolved to solve problems. Imagine a company in the 80s storing employee data in separate spreadsheets, names in one file, salaries in another. Inconsistent and hard to update. A database management system fixes this by integrating data with a single management system. Instead of having 10 different papers or notebooks, you will have a database management system and you will reach everything securely. We will talk about overview of database systems, traditional file systems, data information, knowledge, some IPO models, file-based data storage, DDL, DML, DSL, and etc. Let's talk about data versus information. Data are raw facts or figures without context, like list of numbers, whereas information is a processed or organized data that has meaning and value to the user, like summary report computed from those numbers. Understanding this difference is fundamental, as we may ask for definitions or examples. A file-based system stores data in separate files or spreadsheets for each application, leading to duplication and inconsistency. A database management system centralizes data storage and management, providing controlled access. We highlight how database management system overcomes the limitations of file-based approach like redundancy and pure security. So in file systems, data isolation and redundancy are common. Changes in data formats affect every application, and there is no unified query language. We will enumerate typical disadvantages like inconsistency, difficulty in sharing data, lack of concurrent access control. And we can have an example question saying, what are the disadvantages of the file-based approach to store data? We will be able to answer this. Advantages of database management system include data independence, insulating programs from data format changes, centralized control, improved data integrity, and easier data sharing. We also mentioned potential disadvantages of a database management system like complexity and overhead to be balanced. As students, we should know both sides. We have IPO model, input process output model, describes how data, meaning input, is processed by a software to generate information, meaning output. We explain this principle and give simple web app example like we have a input, we give data, material information, we are processing it like in calculate, classify, and test, and then we will display as output, results, product, solution. Since conceptual questions like what is the IPO model, describe it with an example may appear. Introduction to components of database system like hardware, software, data, users. We outline the levels of abstraction in database management system. External schema like views, conceptual schema like logical design, and internal schema, physical storage, and explain data independence. We also identify roles database administrator, designers, and users. And activities, DDL for defining schema, DML for queries updates, DCL for permissions. We have ANSI SPARC 3-level architecture that separates user views in external view, external level, the logical structure of data in conceptual level, and physical data storage in internal level. In the example, you can see the 3 different user views. They are all coming to the external scheme, and they join in external level. After getting mapped, they go to conceptual level, and after again getting mapped, we are reaching the internal or physical schema, which enables data independence by allowing changes at one level without affecting the others. We can also talk about 3-level ANSI SPARC architecture in Gigs for Gigs. They have a very nice web page explaining how things work and some chronicle explanation too. as I mentioned also in my example, we have 3 different users or multiple different users, and they have view, and we are getting conceptual level, internal level, and physical data organization. And this is how basically a database works. I will put the links in descriptions. You can access this website. Let's talk about some SQL examples. Since this is introductory, it's very heavy. I will introduce SQL only briefly to illustrate database management system capabilities. For example, we have a table we created called customer, which has customer ID as a primary key and name and city. We are also inserting a record called customer, which ID is 1, name is Alice Smith, and from Berlin. DDL stands for Data Definition Language, DML is for Data Manipulation Language, and DCL comes from Data Control Language. And when we go deeper, the create table is part of DDL that defines the structure, the metadata, centrally within the database, something a file-based approach lacks. We have the insert part from DML as data under database management systems control, ensuring consistency and integrity. And then we have grant from DCL, manages access rights, showing how the database management system provides centralized control, security, and enforcement of integrity. When we come to difference between DDL and DML in database management system in gigs for geeks, we can see detailed explanation and differences. I will give the link in description or in somewhere else. You can access these links and read them. They are very useful. We will have 2 questions in this part, and I will stop there. What are the disadvantages of the file-based approach for storing data? So file-based systems suffer from data redundancy. The same data stored in multiple files, lack of consistency, updates in one file not reflected in others, and poor data sharing and weak security, which is a big disadvantage, and that's the basics of why we use database management systems. For example, if 2 files both list customer addresses, one can become outdated, leading to inconsistency, and there is also no central control to enforce integrity, like no mechanisms to prevent invalid data entries across all files. And let's talk about what do DDL, DML, and DCL stand for. DDL stands for Data Definition Language, like creating a table, as we showed in the example. DML is Data Manipulation Language, to update, to modify records, or select to query data that we can manipulate and manage the data. DCL is Data Control Language, to grant or revoke the managed user permissions, which means DDL creates a table, DML inserts data, DCL grants permissions. Thank you for watching. I will have some follow-up videos in close future, I would say. I will walk over the basics of database and fundamentals, but keep it simple, kind of. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.